All right, welcome to this deep dive. And looks like we're going to be taking a look at positive thinking today.
Yeah, seems like a good one.
Yeah, you sent over some excerpts from Miracle on Demand, and
It's a good book.
it is a good book. Yeah, and it seems like you're really interested in not just like what it is, but how it works, and
Huh.
like how it impacts your life and how you can actually like become a
Yeah.
more positive person. So,
And how to actually do it right. Not just,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Not just the theory, but the practical application.
Seems like you're coming at it with like a healthy dose of curiosity, but also some skepticism.
Mm,
Hmm.
which is good.
Which is great.
That's
Yeah.
the best way to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start with like how the book defines positive thinking.
Okay.
It says it's a mental attitude that focuses on growth and success. You anticipate positive outcomes, and you believe in your mind's power to achieve what you set out to do.
Yeah, that's the core of it, right? But then when you really start digging deeper into the book, it becomes clear that it's not just about wishing for things to happen.
Right.
There's a really interesting story in the beginning about these two guys, John and Robert, and they're applying for the same job.
Right.
And it illustrates this point really well.
Yeah, they're both going for the same position, but they have very different approaches.
Very different.
Um, Robert is super prepared.
Yeah.
He's got that positive mindset, and it leads him to take certain actions that, help him just ace the interview.
Totally. Like his preparation fuels his confidence, which then leads to him getting the job.
Exactly. And then meanwhile, John is like stuck in this negative spiral.
Poor John.
Yeah.
He just gets caught up in it.
Yeah.
But it really highlights how much our mindset can influence, our actions and ultimately the results that we see in our lives.
For sure. For sure. Okay, so one thing that stood out to me was the book's distinction between positive thinking and positive psychology.
Yes.
What's the difference there?
Well, the book explains that positive psychology is not about ignoring the negative.
Okay.
Instead, it's about understanding those negative aspects of life and using that understanding to develop coping mechanisms and support systems.
So it's not just about like, slapping on a happy face and pretending everything's perfect.
Exactly.
It's about acknowledging the challenges, but actively seeking solutions.
Right. It's much more proactive. It's
Right.
like if you're facing a health challenge, for example, positive psychology would say, okay, acknowledge how hard this is,
Right.
but also explore potential coping mechanisms, build a strong support network.
Gotcha. So it's like a more nuanced approach.
Yeah, more balanced,
Okay.
more realistic.
Yeah, that helps clarify things for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so even though positive psychology emphasizes that realism, the book dives into like the benefits of positive thinking and cites some pretty robust research.
Oh, yeah. There's tons of research.
What were some of the findings that like really stood out to you?
Well, the link between optimism and health is fascinating. There's one study that found like a 10-point increase in optimism was correlated with a 19% lower risk of premature death.
Wow, 19%.
Yeah, it's pretty significant.
That's huge. That really makes you think about that mind-body connection,
Absolutely.
how our thoughts might be impacting our physical well-being.
It's powerful stuff, and that's not all. They've also linked optimism to faster recovery from illness, like even cancer,
Wow.
and a stronger immune response, when you get a flu shot, for example.
So it's not just about feeling good. It sounds like it's like
It
actually
has real implications.
having a tangible effect on our health.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. But what about those of us who aren't naturally like, sunshine and rainbows all the time?
Right.
Can we actually learn to be more optimistic?
Well, that's where the work of Martin Seligman comes in.
Okay.
He's like a pioneer in positive psychology,
Uh.
and his research shows that optimism can be learned.
Wait, are you saying we can actually train our brains to be more optimistic?
Absolutely. His research led to the development of the Penn Resiliency Program,
Okay.
and it's been really successful in helping reduce depression in children
Oh, wow.
by teaching them techniques to reframe negative thoughts and build optimistic habits.
So if kids can learn it, there's hope for us adults too.
Totally.
That's encouraging.
It is.
Okay, speaking of actionable steps, Miracle on Demand provides a whole bunch of techniques for like cultivating a more positive mindset.
Oh, yeah, it's packed with them.
What are some of the ones that they talk about?
Well, they range from simple exercises like the smiling experiment.
The smiling experiment.
You literally force yourself to smile
Okay.
and see how it impacts your mood,
Okay.
to more involved practices like visualization.
Interesting. That smiling one sounds intriguing.
It does. It's a little strange.
Yeah.
But hey, if the research backs it up,
Right.
why not?
I'm willing to try it. What about the visualization techniques?
So one they describe is called the funnel of energy. and you visualize this beam of light kind of cleansing you of all the negativity. It might sound a little out there,
Yeah.
but visualization has been shown to have real effects on the brain.
I actually really like guided meditations.
Oh, yeah.
So that one kind of speaks to me.
I can see that.
Yeah, using those vivid images to like shift your mental state.
Totally. There's also the idea of ejecting negative thoughts like a cassette tape.
Okay.
You literally visualize hitting that eject button and replacing those thoughts with more positive ones.
I love that analogy.
Just good
It
one.
really like creates such a vivid image in your mind.
Yeah,
So yeah, I can definitely see how that would be a helpful tool,
for sure. But with all these techniques, consistency is key.
right? It's like learning any new skill, you got to put in the time and effort.
Exactly. Retraining your thinking takes time.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But, even when we're trying to be positive, we can sometimes get in our own way.
Oh, for sure.
And the book dedicates a whole chapter to the idea of self-sabotage.
Right. It's something we all struggle with to some extent, but
Mhm.
recognizing it is the first step.
Yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
Okay, so what are some of the signs of self-sabotage that the book tells us to watch out for?
Well, they list a few things like repeating unwanted patterns, having trouble with relationships, or saying you want something, but then acting in ways that contradict that desire.
Interesting.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is how they connect self-sabotage to a fear of success,
Oh,
suggesting that sometimes deep down we might believe we don't deserve good things.
wow, that's kind of a powerful thought.
It is, and challenging that belief is crucial to breaking free from those patterns.
For sure. Okay, so how do we actually apply all of this knowledge to like live a more positive life?
Well, the book offers some really practical advice.
Yeah.
One of the most engaging examples is the vision board exercise.
Right.
You create this visual representation of your goals and aspirations using images and words that inspire you.
And it's a really great way to keep those positive images and those goals front and center in your mind.
Exactly. And the book also touches on gratitude practice and affirmations,
Right.
which are more classic tools for shifting your mindset.
Yeah, and those are things you can start doing like right now,
Absolutely.
no matter where you are on your positive thinking journey.
Exactly. It's about taking those small steps, being consistent, and challenging those limiting beliefs that might be holding you back.
Okay, so we've kind of delved into the what, the why, and the how of positive thinking, but there's still so much more to unpack.
Yeah, we've only scratched the surface.
Right.
There's a lot more to explore in the book.
Absolutely. But before we move on,
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to hear like what's resonating with you so far.
Yeah.
What stood out to you from what we've discussed?
Well, I think
One thing that really struck me was how the book tackles that misconception that, positive thinking is about ignoring problems and pretending everything's fine.
right. It's not about wearing those rose-colored glasses. And just glossing over reality miracle on demand really makes it clear that positive thinking involves acknowledging the negative, but choosing to focus on the potential for growth and opportunity.
It's like recognizing that challenges are inevitable,
Yeah,
but how we respond to them is what really matters.
exactly. The book uses this powerful analogy. Imagine you've lost your job.
Okay.
A negative thinker might spiral into despair, just fixating on that loss of income and, the blow to their ego.
I can relate to that feeling of despair.
Yeah, it's not a fun place to be.
Not at all.
But a positive thinker, while acknowledging the very real challenges of job loss, would shift their focus to the opportunities it presents.
Right.
They might ask themselves, okay, what can I learn from this experience? What kind of work would truly fulfill me? What does my next chapter look like?
It's about finding that silver lining,
Yeah,
even in the midst of a difficult situation.
exactly. And that's where the power of positive thinking really lies. It's not about denying reality.
Right.
It's about choosing how you respond to it.
That reframing is so important.
It is.
But how do you actually cultivate that kind of mindset?
Right,
Like, reading about it is one thing,
right.
but putting it into practice can feel like a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, that's where the book's practical exercises come in.
Okay.
Those techniques we discussed earlier, the smiling experiment, the funnel of energy visualization, ejecting those negative thoughts.
Right?
Those are all tools you can use to start training your brain to be more positive.
And there's the vision board, gratitude practice affirmations. That's like they've given you this whole toolkit to work with.
Exactly.
Have you ever encountered people who find affirmations a bit like inauthentic?
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's a common concern.
Yeah, like I struggle with that sometimes.
The key with affirmations is to choose ones that resonate with you authentically
Okay.
and to focus on the feeling behind the words.
So it's not just about repeating phrases robotically.
No.
It's about connecting with the emotion, the
Exactly.
intention behind them.
And remember, you don't have to use every technique in the book. It's about finding the tools that work best for you and
Right.
incorporating them into your daily routine.
Consistency is key, just like forming any new habit.
Absolutely, building those positive thinking muscles takes time and effort.
Makes sense.
But just like physical exercise, the more you practice, the stronger you become.
It's about rewiring your brain for positivity.
Yeah,
That's a pretty powerful concept.
it is.
But what about those times when negativity inevitably creeps in,
Right.
even when you're trying your best to stay positive?
Sure.
What advice does the book offer for those moments?
Well, first and foremost, it stresses that it's perfectly normal to experience negative thoughts and emotions.
Okay.
We're all human. We all have those moments. The key is not to let those thoughts take over.
So it's about catching those negative thoughts early and consciously choosing a different perspective.
Exactly. It's like they say you can't stop a bird from landing on your head, but you can prevent it from building a nest.
Okay.
They use the analogy of a cassette tape. When you hear that negative self-talk starting up, visualize ejecting that tape and replacing it with a more positive one.
That imagery is so helpful.
Yeah.
The more you practice that mental eject button,
Right.
the quicker you become at recognizing those negative thought patterns and shifting your focus.
It's like building mental muscle memory over time. Those negative thoughts will have less and less power over you.
That's reassuring to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, so another aspect of the book that I found really insightful was the connection between positive thinking and success.
Yes.
It makes sense that a positive mindset would contribute to reaching your goals.
Absolutely. And this ties back to the idea that our mindset influences our actions, which ultimately leads to positive outcomes. Remember, John and Robert.
Right, the job application.
Yeah. Robert's positive attitude not only boosted his confidence, but it prompted him to take concrete steps to prepare for the interview,
Right.
which ultimately helped him secure the job.
It wasn't just wishful thinking. It was about taking inspired action.
Yeah.
And that applies to any area of life where we seek success, right?
For sure.
Relationships, health, finances, creative pursuits.
Totally.
It reminds me of the saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
Our beliefs
Right.
about ourselves and what's possible have a huge impact on our achievements.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
But let's be real. Real life isn't always easy.
No.
There are times when things are tough,
Sure.
when it feels like life throws you curveballs.
Yeah.
And it can be really hard to find the good in those situations.
He can.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
not about pretending everything is sunshine and rainbows all the time.
No.
So how does the book address those really difficult moments when it's hard to see the positive?
Well, it acknowledges that these moments are a natural part of life.
Okay.
Miracle on Demand doesn't advocate for denying or suppressing difficult emotions.
Okay.
In fact, it encourages you to allow yourself to feel them fully.
So it's not about bypassing those negative feelings,
Right.
but rather acknowledging them and then choosing how to move forward.
Exactly. And then when you're ready, you can start looking for the lessons or opportunities for growth that might be hidden within the pain.
It's like the idea that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Though it can definitely take time to see that strength emerge from challenging experiences.
That's where practices like gratitude can be incredibly valuable.
Okay.
Even when things are tough, there are always things to be grateful for. Focusing on those things, even small things,
Right.
can help shift your perspective and remind you of the good that still exists in your life.
It's like that saying, gratitude turns what we have into enough.
Yes.
That's such a powerful reminder, especially when we're feeling overwhelmed by negativity.
Right. And sometimes simply expressing gratitude can be enough to shift your energy and start attracting more positive experiences.
It creates a positive feedback loop. The more gratitude you practice,
Yes.
the more you have to be grateful for.
Exactly. And the more you focus on the good, the more you empower yourself to create a life that's filled with joy, meaning, and purpose.
It's not about ignoring the negative. It's about choosing how you respond to it
Right.
and using those experiences as fuel for growth.
Absolutely.
But what about when we get in our own way, when self-sabotage creeps in?
Yes. The book does address the ever-present inner critic.
Right.
It offers some really valuable insights into understanding and overcoming self-sabotage.
So what are some of the signs of self-sabotage that we should be aware of? I think we all experience it to some degree.
Well, one of the biggest red flags is engaging in behaviors that undermine our goals.
Okay.
Even when we consciously know they're not helpful. Think procrastination, overeating, harsh self-criticism, constantly seeking external validation.
Ouch. I think I've been guilty of all of those at some point.
Another sign is struggling to maintain healthy relationships. Self-sabotage can show up as push-pull dynamics. jealousy, insecurity, constantly testing the boundaries of those we care about.
And I imagine those relationship struggles can then create a ripple effect impacting other areas of our lives.
Exactly. And another telltale sign is saying we want something, but then acting in ways that prevent us from achieving it.
Okay.
It's like we're almost afraid of success.
Why would we be afraid of success?
Well, the book delves into the idea that sometimes deep down, we don't believe we deserve good things.
You-
We might have limiting beliefs about ourselves stemming from past experiences or messages we received growing up.
So those negative beliefs can become self-fulfilling prophecies,
Right.
holding us back from our full potential.
Exactly. And that's why breaking free from those limiting beliefs is a crucial step in overcoming self-sabotage.
Right.
The book really emphasizes recognizing those negative thoughts and challenging them with positive affirmations and evidence to the contrary.
It's about rewriting the negative script
Yeah,
and replacing it with a more empowering story.
exactly. It takes effort and awareness, but it's so worth it because when we free ourselves from self-sabotage, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities.
So we've identified some of the signs of self-sabotage,
Yes.
but what practical steps can we take to actually overcome it?
Well, the book suggests starting by becoming aware of your thoughts and behaviors. Pay attention to those moments when you're engaging in self-sabotaging actions or thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
Ask yourself, what's triggering this? What am I afraid of? What beliefs are driving this behavior?
It's about shining a light on those unconscious patterns.
Yeah.
So we can start to change them.
Right, and once you've identified those patterns, you can start to challenge them.
Okay.
Question those limiting beliefs, look for evidence that contradicts them, affirm your worthiness and your ability to achieve your goals.
It's about replacing those negative thoughts with positive ones.
Yeah.
And most importantly, backing those thoughts up with action.
Exactly. And don't forget about self-compassion.
Right.
We all make mistakes. We all have moments of self-doubt. The key is to learn from those experiences and move forward with greater self-awareness and self-love.
So it's not about being perfect.
No?
It's about being kind to ourselves,
No.
recognizing that we're all works in progress.
Yes.
I love that this idea of self-compassion really resonates with me.
It's a vital piece of the puzzle. When we approach ourselves with compassion, we create space for growth and transformation.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here,
We have.
but Miracle on Demand is packed with even more insights and techniques for cultivating a positive mindset.
Oh, yeah.
It's really an empowering read.
Absolutely. But before we wrap up our depth dive, I'm curious to know what has stood out to you from our conversation today.
You know, it's interesting. We often talk about positive thinking like in our personal lives, you know,
Yeah.
but the book also explores how it can impact our professional success.
Right. It makes sense when you think about it.
Yeah.
A positive attitude can foster greater creativity, stronger problem-solving skills, and a greater resilience when facing setbacks.
Right.
All essential for success in any field.
Yeah, they even suggest that positive thinking can improve leadership skills.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious to hear more about that.
Well, a positive leader inspires and motivates their team, right? They create a more collaborative and supportive work environment and really cultivate a culture of innovation and growth.
Whereas a negative leader can do the opposite,
Right.
bring down morale, stifle creativity.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if some companies actually look for these qualities when they're hiring for leadership positions.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And the book emphasizes that anyone can cultivate these positive leadership qualities.
Yeah.
It's not about being born with, a specific personality type,
Not at all.
but rather about developing a mindset that focuses on solutions, empowers others, and celebrates successes.
Exactly.
So whether you're an entrepreneur, a manager, or just starting out in your career,
yeah,
positive thinking could give you a real advantage.
it could.
And it's not just about climbing the corporate ladder.
Right.
Positive thinking can also lead to greater job satisfaction, stronger relationships with colleagues, and a deeper sense of purpose in your work. It's like they say, choose a job you love and you'll never have to work a day in your life.
Right.
But even if you don't absolutely love your job,
Yeah,
a positive attitude can make a huge difference in how you experience it.
absolutely. It's crucial because we spend so much of our lives at work.
Yeah.
Why not make it as enjoyable and fulfilling as possible?
Okay, so we've established that positive thinking is good for our health, our happiness, our relationships, and our careers.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah, what about the bigger picture, though?
Mm.
Does it have any impact on society as a whole?
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
Miracle on Demand doesn't really explore that in depth, but
Right.
I think it's safe to say that a more positive society would likely be a more compassionate, cooperative, and innovative one.
Yeah. Imagine a world where people were more focused on solutions than problems,
Yeah.
more willing to collaborate than compete, more supportive of each other's successes.
Yeah, that's a beautiful vision.
It's a compelling vision.
It is. It sounds almost utopian,
Yeah.
but I do believe it's possible, and it starts with each individual cultivating a more positive mindset.
So it's like a ripple effect.
Yeah,
The more individuals embrace positive thinking,
right.
the more that positivity spreads outwards, influencing their families, their communities, and eventually the world.
Exactly. And that's why I found this whole deep dive into Miracle on Demand so inspiring.
Yeah?
It's a powerful reminder that we all have the power to make a difference,
Yeah.
not just in our own lives, but in the world around us.
It all starts with that fundamental shift in mindset, choosing to focus on the good, believing in our ability to create positive change, and embracing the journey with hope and optimism.
And remember, even small shifts in thinking can have a big impact.
Yeah.
Choose one technique that resonated with you today and give it a try. You might be surprised by the results.
And if you hit a roadblock, don't be discouraged. Setbacks are a natural part of the process,
Oh, yeah.
and each challenge is an opportunity for growth. We'd love to hear about your experiences with positive thinking. Share your thoughts, your successes, your challenges. Let's keep this conversation going until next time. Stay positive.